So, I often come up with really stellar, in my opinion, jokes on topics that don't quite make it into full-on videos, and this is unfortunate for you guys. But that's about to change, because, you see, in a desperate bid to attain internet relevancy, once again I have defaulted to the recap once-a-month video format popularized by one Chris Reagan on YouTube.com. The only difference here being that I will actually be uploading content more than once a month that is not exclusively this kind of content. I actually have a lot more content planned than just this nonsense. It just takes a lot longer than this would because there's way more research that goes into that and a lot more effort involved in, say, I don't know, the deep dives on Aspie syndrome or whatever. Because I've committed to at least one video a week, and I'd rather not deprive all of your lovely faces of my lovely face in turn, so you're welcome. We will be recapping all of January 2020 in this new hit series that I like to call Weebo Hot Takes in just a moment. First, I'd like to hear a word from our video sponsor of the day, Raid Shadow. This video, just as every other video that I've ever made, has always been brought to you by you, the audience, and I thank you every day for that. Roll the intro. So we're going to start off with world news, and what better world news is there than the impending apocalyptic World War III? Earlier this month, the US bombed some military HUD honcho in Iran called Cheez-It Salami. Somehow. I haven't had it explained to me yet, but somehow, this almost started World War III. Let me explain why this makes no sense. In a metaphor that everyone will understand. On the playground that is the world stage, Iran is much like that loner kid who sits alone at recess on the swing and only talks, sporadically at best, to their teacher, Mother Russia, who humors him with promises of overpriced oil. Yes, this analogy fell apart. Abysmally so, but you get the gist. The memes, as usual, did not disappoint the public, although they did probably disappoint many a boomer. A tweet from the beauty guru James Charles initiated a sudden spike in memes pertaining to those who would identify as female and the draft, which, interestingly enough, offers a commentary on certain genders and their respective rights and privileges that will be noticeably absent from talking points at this year's Women's March, but that's none of my business. I don't dally in that type of nonsense. And then, of course, we can't have World War III memes without a throwback to when we were supposedly threatened by North Korea with nuclear Armageddon. Good times. And then, speaking of nukes and throwbacks, of course, there's the obligatory reminder that nukes are very much on the table, and we are but one minor skirmish with the wrong country over the wrong assassination and or resource from certain nuclear apocalypse at any given point in time. Running theme, last century, let's be honest. And somehow, we skipped World Wars 3, 4, and 5 altogether, and went straight for World War 6, which is okay, for me at least. I have seen the new Who seasons Eccleston up to but not including Capaldi, and I am prepared for continuity errors of any color, race, creed, gender, what have you. This is acceptable for me. I can flow with this.
I don't want to play with you anymore.
Coronavirus, declared global health emergency by WHO, and that basically sums up every kickoff of the 20s for the last 3 to 4 centuries, without fail. So, as of 9 hours prior to researching this video and bullet pointing things that were important that I wanted to mention, there have been 213 people that have died in China alone from the coronavirus, and at least confirmed 10,000 cases internationally, I think. Confirmed. There's a lot of misinformation going around out there, and that seems to be a running theme when it comes to this year thus far. 98 cases in at least 18 other countries with no deaths thus far. And if you're keeping track at home, ladies and gentlemen, in the last, well, since yesterday, 10 days from the 20th all the way up until the 30th, that's about a 3,900% increase in cases in just 10 days. So thusly, the State Department has issued a level 4 travel advisory, which means do not travel to China, as if anyone wants to. I want y'all to remember all of these facts for when I subsequently blow your mind with the stupidest, most stupid thing my eyes did ever see that has been published on the internet.com. But moving on, concern hasn't so much been for developed countries, rather for the safety and security of low to middling income nations that absolutely, positively lack the resources to both contain this threat and treat the affected of this virus. That's a thing. That is a real concern. I present you with this hot piece of garbage. We should de-escalate the war on the coronavirus. Fear, finger-pointing, and militaristic action against the virus are unproductive. We may be better off adjusting to a new normal of periodic outbreaks. I did see that with my own two eyes, and it was in fact stupid. The gist of this article has basically been that people have been using this as an opportunity to moralize about traditional Chinese practices wherein people eat a wide range of species, usually alive. And they admit the potential of this being the point of first contact between the coronavirus and humans, but don't talk about it, because that's racist. That's a racist stereotype, an accurate one, but a racist one. Racist. You racist, you. Can we just take a moment to be real here? Have you not seen the videos of Chinese people consuming still alive animals on video, on social media? Because I have. We got seafood eating, invertebrate eating, crustaceans. Who knows what else has been consumed?
Yeah, so stop stalling.
Anyway, I want to show how alive they are. I want to show how alive they are. I want to show how alive they are. I want to show how alive they are.
It's disgusting, and it's cruel, frankly, and I can't even show you most of it because you're watching animals die in front of your eyes and I'll probably get dinged for community strike because of it. I literally watched a video on Twitter of a guy taking I think it was a frog in his mouth, like the frog's upper lip in his mouth, and then just ripping it in half with his other hand. Like, I cannot tell you how upsetting that was. And I am not a vegan by any stretch of the imagination, but it was upsetting. It was disturbing. It was gross. Anyway, the article goes on to say that eventually there will be vaccines and effective therapies for treatment of those infected, and we should just learn to live with it like it's the flu and, you know, just put up with it. Whatever. Deal with it. It's not a big deal, except that it is. People are dying. Oh, I'm sorry. You have the coronavirus? Deal with it. Oh, I'm sorry. You're coughing up blood? Deal with it. Oh, I'm sorry. Did all your loved ones die in Wuhan? Deal with it. Heartless much? The article continues on by essentially iterating that right now we don't know for certain if corona is something highly contagious and lethal, or if it's just simply seasonal and unpleasant, but rarely lethal. I mean, it could be either one. What we do know is that simply those in poor health or who don't have, like, really good immune systems, like you go Weebo right here, yeah, me, they could be in danger of perishing if they caught the virus. Of course, you still have to catch the virus, and of course that means that it still has to be transmitted to you from someone who has it, who came from Wuhan, which means that maybe quarantines are super effective, and cordoning off people from entering into the states and or other nations that aren't experiencing infections might be beneficial, because, you know, there are always going to be people with weakened immune systems out there. That's just the way the cookie crumbles. Whether or not you deem them, I don't know, worthy of life in this cold and abysmal existence, you know, it's completely up to you, but I choose to not expose those people to potentially lethal infections. That's just me. The last point that this article makes is that the militarization of our reaction to the coronavirus gives us the illusion of control over evolution, which, I mean, is that such a bad thing? The illusion of control. We kind of have a grasp on how it works. I mean, not 100%, but we do have a modicum of ability to manifest change, biologically speaking. If you didn't, we wouldn't have these lovely treatments / vaccinations that we have that facilitate the ability to surmount challenges as we do. So I guess we'll just let natural selection take its natural course. Why don't we? Eat food off the floor. Begone travel bans. No more quarantines of any sort, ilk, or region. Munch on your uncooked and potentially riddled with parasites and viral infections, so fresh as still living foodstuffs, and get you someone to sneeze in your face holes, why don't you? 'Cause it's 2020 and we are demilitarizing the war on illnesses. Alright? You gotta strengthen your immune system, buddy. Rub some dirt in it. You bunch of pussies. Strengthen it. Strengthen it.
There's too many people on this earth. We need a new plague.
Calm down, Dwight. But Weebo, it's all in the name of evolution and natural selection, Charles Darwin said. Guys, it's only natural. But also Weebo. We just gotta sit around and wait for medical science to develop a vaccination, because that's a completely natural and totally not trying to win the evolution game thing to do, guys! In alternate but completely relevant news, now for the meme commentary on the shenanigans. And once again, we have some stellar contenders focused on the beer by the same name, Corona, which, I know, memes can be a slightly difficult concept for the uninitiated plebiscite mainstream media to grasp fully, but that does not mean that people actually think that Corona Extra is actually linked to the Wuhan coronavirus. People, you insipid, dunderheaded nugget Gen Pop types, honestly. And then, because this is something that was developed in China and exported to everywhere, apparently, we gotta have some of those slightly edgy origin jokes like this one, and this one. Just a little bit racy. The most important thing is that since we are talking about Asian international influence on the rest of the world, we get a recycling of this gem of a meme once again. Same video. Ain't that a beaut? Moving on to famous deaths this month, we have Kobe Bryant, dead just this week at age 41, unfortunately. His daughter and himself were taken down in a helicopter crash, and that was reported by TMZ before the bodies were even cold, apparently. And no, I'm not kidding about that, because TMZ, if you didn't know, are the scum of the earth, and decided to report on it before the police and the coroner could even report it to the families of the deceased. Don't believe me? Let's see Los Angeles County Sheriff Alex Villanueva bitch slap the ever-living shit out of TMZ for their tactless handling of this entire just unfortunate, tragic event.
There is wide speculation as to who the identities are. However, it is entirely inappropriate right now to identify anyone by name until the coroner has made the identification through their very deliberative process, and they've made notifications to next of kin. And it'd be extremely disrespectful to understand that your loved one was perished and you learn about it from TMZ.
Tell him, Alex. But of course, TMZ is not the only media outlet this month lacking in class and basic human decency. We also have the New York Post, specifically Kate Sheehy, whatever, vying to be a contender on the list of shameless click whores this month. Quote, Kobe Bryant's wife, Vanessa, can't finish a sentence without crying. No shit, Sherlock. Did that really need to be an article? Did you really need to interview her entire family to get that juicy piece of information out into the public? She lost her husband and her daughter, and all you can do is post an article about it. Leave the girl alone. Leave the woman alone. By gosh diddly. She is grieving, and you don't need to capitalize on it. Somehow, some way, the tactless handling of Kobe Bryant's death by various news outlets this month is, in fact, the most disgusting contribution to this video, despite having a portion of this entire video dedicated to the viral outbreak of a disease from eating unorthodox animals. Somehow. Someone... just... Speaking of things that happen to disgust me, let us move on to Elizabeth, lies like a rug abandoned on the side of the highway, Warren, Democratic candidate. So apparently, and this is just what the sources are saying, Bernie Sanders went and told Elizabeth Warren in a private chat in 2018 that women can't win the presidency. And this is just coming out. It was from 2018, but it's just coming out now. in 2020. Yeah, alright. This rumor, I guess you could call it, culminated into a very beautiful on-air moment that I'm going to play here for you.
Sanders, I do want to be clear here. You're saying that you never told Senator Warren that a woman could not win the election.
That is correct.
Senator Warren, what did you think when Senator Sanders told you a woman could not win the election?
I kid you not. That happened live for the rest of the world to see. And if that doesn't confirm to you that the DNC is completely corrupt and anti-Bernie Sanders, then I don't really know what will. At this point, not that I'm vying for him to win the presidency, but I mean, I call it like I see him, people. I call it like I see him, and that's dirty. That's dirty. And of course, because we have that clip, we also have to include the fact that this happened live and on air. Accidentally.
I think you called me a liar on national TV. What? I think you called me a liar on national TV.
Yes.
Let's not do it right now. You want to have that discussion? We'll have that discussion. You called me. You told me. All right, let's not do it now.
Because Elizabeth Warren, you are. Roll clip.
What do the facts say?
The facts suggest that you absolutely have a Native American ancestor in your pedigree.
I am not a tribal citizen. I had a good conversation last week with Chief Baker, who is chief of the Cherokee tribes, and I told Chief Baker that I am sorry that I extended confusion about tribal citizenship.
Senator, why did you list yourself as an American Indian on this Texas bar application?
When I was growing up in Oklahoma, I learned about my family the same way most people do. My brothers and I learned from our mom and our dad and our brothers and our sisters, and those were our family's stories.
Warren was told she had a Native American ancestor in the range of 6 to 10 generations ago.
My mom and dad were very much in love with each other, and they wanted to get married. And my father's parents said, absolutely not. You can't marry her because she's part Cherokee and she's part Delaware. And after fighting it as long as they could, my parents went off, they eloped. It was an issue in our family the whole time I grew up about these two families. It was an issue still raised at my mother's funeral. My first year post graduation, and I did that for a year. And then that summer, I actually didn't have the education courses, so I was on an emergency certificate, it was called. And I went back to graduate school and took a couple of courses in education and said, I don't think this is going to work out for me. And I was pregnant with my first baby. And then in the spring of my first year, in April, my contract was renewed for the next year, and I was all set to go. But I was pregnant at the time, wasn't showing yet. About 2 months later, when I was visibly pregnant, about 6 months along, the principal called me in and said that he wished me luck, but he'd be more comfortable having someone else in that job, and he was going to hire someone else for the job. And that was it. I lost my job.
And lastly, in political shenanigans on the side of the Democrats, we have this utter gem of news. I'm just going to read the headline for you because that is all you need to hear. I mean, if you want to read the story, it's linked in the description. All of them are. But all you need is the headline. Quote, Hillary Clinton refuses to be served Tulsi Gabbard's defamation lawsuit. This happened not once, but twice. Miss No American is Above the Law has apparently deemed herself to be above the law in this regard when it comes to people she has publicly defamed. Oh, hang on. I'm getting a live update. Oh, this is shocking. It's being reported to me that Tulsi Gabbard will have caught the coronavirus in the next 24 to 48 hours, saying a suicide has been deemed incredible due to Tulsi having entirely too many reasons left to live. It's being reported to me that the Tulsi Gabbard funeral will be held sometime next week. The funeral is being reported to be an open casket, semi-formal affair, and all are welcome. And that's all for Weebo Hot Takes. Join me next month, same time, same place, for an update on the world.